Do you love to read? And do you love to write? Well, tonight on our show, we have a special treat. You get to meet the author and editor, Breena Clarke, who is the co editor of a new Chicken Soup for the Soul series featuring stories by Black women that are inspiring, empowering, and informative. Welcome to the Goddess Power Show with Elizabeth Ann Atkins. I am so excited to interview Breena Clarke today on this show that is all about helping women boss up to live bigger, better, and bolder. And certainly through the written word, we can do that. Welcome, Breena Clarke.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, Elizabeth.
I'm
Thanks for
so
having me.
You're welcome. First, congratulations. This book, which goes on sale June 1st, is part of the phenomenal, huge Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and it focuses on
Yes.
Black women's stories. And they were all written in recent times so that they're going to explore all the topics that we've been dealing with of late. And the cover
Yes.
is absolutely beautiful. It's lavender. You are the co-editor. Can you talk about how this project came about?
Well, it's a lovely project, and I'm very excited to have been a part of it. It is, as you said, Chicken Soup for the Soul is a series, it's a franchise, and they've published several titles every year. Amy Newmark contacted me. She's executive editor of the Chicken Soup series,
Mm-hmm.
and she discussed the idea of having a book in which Black women were speaking and telling essential truths about their lives in first person narratives. I was intrigued and we discussed it. I was very excited to become a part of that project. And as a result of that, we set out a very wide net to solicit submissions, put out the call to a lot of our networks, writing networks, and we got a very big response.
Like how
And
many? How many?
oh, well, thousands of them,
Oh
thousands
my
of them.
goodness.
We really did. We had to cull them down and select really the finest ones. And the call went out, I guess, at the end of October. So all of these submissions came in between November and December of 2020. So as you can see, they're really very topical. A lot of the women are engaging with the topics that everybody is talking about: the pandemic, the election, the election results, the unfortunate events of January 6th. So there are a lot of topics that are covered in our
And
stories.
the social justice movement, the murder of George Floyd,
Oh yes.
being
Oh yes.
mothers of Black sons.
Oh yes. We have, our book is divided into a number of chapters, and we have a chapter that's on the stories are raising our children. So that
Wow.
all of the stories that are in that section are
Mm.
on that topic. And some of them are lighthearted and others are really very heartfelt.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a chapter on ancestors and traditional wisdom. And those are
Oh.
delightful too.
Oh.
Again, some lighthearted ones, some quite a bit more serious.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we've got a cross section
Mm-hmm.
of interests and
Mm-hmm.
topics.
Okay, I'm still stunned by the whole thousands of entries. You had to select 101, and that was only a
Yes.
few months ago. Breena, how did you do that?
Well, Amy Newmark and I read them all. We really did. We read them. You know, of course, we had a process for culling out
Uh-huh.
submissions, but we read a great many first person narratives.
Mm-hmm.
And we made our choices. It wasn't easy. And one of the interesting things is that we did receive poetry submissions. We
Mm.
received a number of poems. And so we decided to use 101 personal narratives and to pair each section with a poem. So that gave us the opportunity to include 12 poems.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that was kind of fun. We enjoyed doing that and gave us even more that we were able to reflect. And also each story has at the top, introducing it, a quote from an historical figure or a contemporary Black woman. And the quotes are great. They run the gamut of a lot of people. Beyonce is quoted, Zora Neale Hurston. So it's really, it's a wide cross section of names.
Oh, I can't wait to read this book. And you know what's coming to mind? It sounds like a beautiful gift to give to someone.
Oh, I'd recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I really would.
Mm-hmm.
The friends that I have shared the book with, my early copies with, have all been delighted. And I said, oh, I want to get a copy for my cousin, or I'd like to have a copy for my mother. So it is that sort of book. So you might as well get two copies, because you're going to want to have one and one to send to a very close friend or sister, someone who would like it.
Beautiful. I'm going to put the link in the description box here so people can purchase the paperback and the Kindle, and the book comes out on June 1st. So
That's
just
right.
in a
June
short
1st.
while, it will be available. And again, it's got such a beautiful lavender cover. Can you talk about your favorite part of doing this huge project?
Well, I guess the favorite part of it for me was reading the stories. And a number of the stories, people talked about incidents that had happened in their lives that are similar to things that had happened to me. There's a section on driving while Black. And I chuckle when I think about it, even though several of the stories are kind of heartbreaking, the kind of tension that people put on themselves when they get it behind the wheel of a car, if they're Black and they're driving around and they're considering whether it's getting too late and hadn't I better get on home. Or also there are several stories about women who are speaking about the worries that they have sitting at home waiting for the son or daughter or husband or father or someone to come home. And I realized that I too had been shouldering that sort of worry, and just as a general course. And it's a shame that that sort of energy has been wasted.
But it's so real. That is an undercurrent of any mother of a Black child who's grown in driving or out in the world. You don't even have to be driving. It's like an undercurrent inside you 24/7. It's just there. And thankfully, if you have faith, that can empower you to just know they're safe. But I'm glad that these stories are going to present this topic because it's so real. And I love that you said there's balance with some more lighthearted stories as well, and the poetry and the wonderful quotes from women. So it's like, sounds like a wonderful mix with balance.
Well, yes, there is a lot of variety. It's very complex and there's a lot of variety. One of my favorite stories is by Dara Lurie, and she speaks of her experiences with COVID-19. So, as I say, it's a very topical book. And she speaks about her interactions in the hospital. It's a very compelling story. That's one of my favorites. Another really favorite is a story about a woman, written by a woman who was incarcerated and is out. She became part of a program while she was incarcerated, training dogs. She became very interested in that and credits that with having made a change in her life. So that story is very interesting. And we get we have a number of other stories that speak about our special interaction with the prison industrial complex and with law enforcement.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of very, very important stories.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what's the mission? Why do we need a book that is strictly telling Black women's stories?
Well, I think we need the book because the book provides a platform, an opportunity for some women who have not been afforded the opportunity to speak, have been given the opportunity to speak. And in many respects, that's a very revolutionary thing, to decide that you have something to say. You'd like to get it said. And that's one of the things that I think is the part of this process that I've really enjoyed, is that we've given a platform to a wide range of voices. We have some young women who've written pieces, and we have at least one 90-year-old who's written a piece. So you see, we're we've got the age gap, and it's a wide ranging.
I love it.
Yes. And that's one of the nicer parts about it, that there are so many stories to tell. And I always say it's not as if we're speaking for the first time. Certainly that isn't true. Certainly Black women in this country have spoken about their own lives, about social justice. So we have a long history. Now, many voices were not listened to. There was no audience, if you will. Speakers were discouraged, and many who spoke up were disadvantaged in one way or another. But this book offers an opportunity, says, well, now's the time to speak. If you have something to say, now is the time. Because I think now there are people who are interested to listen. There are people who are curious, who are committed to social justice. So they want to know more. They want to have more facts. They want to know more from Black women about what we are talking about when we talk about social justice in this country. So that's also one of the more important reasons for me to be involved in this project, because it is a book, obviously it's a book for everyone to read. And I firmly believe that it is a book of interest to a very wide audience, men, women, white, Black, Asian, every ethnicity and background and age group will find common ground in this book. And that's what I like about it. The stories are universal. There are a lot of common themes, but there's a specificity about the Black experience and Black women's experience that makes it unique.
So stories are such a powerful learning tool, and it's phenomenal that the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, which is so highly known, is giving this platform in such a timely manner, because things have just been happening, and now boom, here's a book about it. It's really, really wonderful. So what an honor for you as the editor. That's just wonderful. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased with it.
Yes. So, as the editor of this book, you come to the project as an author yourself. Can you talk about your previous writing and your award-winning skills?
Well, I am a fiction writer primarily. I've published 3 novels. I suppose you would consider them historical novels. My debut novel was River Crossed My Heart. That was published in 1999. It was an Oprah book club pick that year,
That's
and that was pretty
amazing.
exciting. Yay! Yes, it was
That's
very exciting.
outstanding.
It really was. It was very, very exciting.
Mhm,
And I was, very pleased about that.
mhm,
My second novel is like River Crossed My Heart, set in Washington, D.C.
mhm.
Stand the Storm is set at the mid 19th century in Washington, D.C. My third novel, Angels Make Their Hope Here, is set in an imagined town in the highlands of New Jersey.
Mhm,
So it's a little bit different.
mhm.
And and I've published short stories, and I also teach writing. So,
Uh-huh. Excellent, excellent. So, what was it like being an Oprah Book Club selection?
well, it was a lot of fun. It really was. it was it was delightful. It had a lot of there was a lot of intrigue about keeping the title mom until they announced it, that sort of
Uh-huh.
thing. That was fun, and it
Uh-huh.
was nice to be on the show.
Ooh.
But in a very real way, it was important for me because it gave me the opportunity to have the writing life that I wanted. After that project, I was able to take an
Ooh.
early retirement from
Oh,
my day job, and then I was able to write.
I
And
love
so that it was really important for me. It was really, really
it.
important for me in that regard. And so, hats
Oh,
off to Oprah. I always
yes. Oh my gosh, I
hats
feel
off
so
to
overjoyed for you.
yeah, it was great. It was great.
Wow.
It was.
Every writer's dream, and to get that recognition and to be able to write full time is just an absolute fantasy come
Yes,
true.
yes, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. And to be able to teach and have comfort and gosh. Wow.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Your book got, besides being an Oprah Book Club selection, it got rave reviews about, the storytelling and your skills and, the poignant topics. And so that's wonderful. What an exciting life you have. Wow. So what is it that calls you to write?
Well, that's always a difficult question. Well, I come to writing, I should probably say I come to writing primarily as a reader. I was an early reader. I can still remember my first trip to the library, public library. I always had a keen interest in books. So I always wanted to, you know, a, a fantasy was to see a book on a shelf with my own name on it. So that was a real sort of fantasies, real sort of dream for me. So I do come to writing as a reader. I was doing other jobs in working and writing sort of on the side.
Mhm.
And after my son's death from an accidental death in
So
1989,
Oh, I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
I had the kind of epiphany that Mark Twain is, said to have had as well. I started writing about my son as a way to preserve what memories I had, even though, of course, that wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary to write everything down, but I did. And that got me into a daily ritual of writing.
Mm.
And after that, I started to expand and I took writing classes, and then I just did it.
Wow, so writing began as a tool for healing for you.
Yes, very much so, I think. And I think that's a way many people come to it. Certainly, many women come to it as a
Mhm.
tool for healing. Mm-hmm.
Just last week, I interviewed Linda Jones, who is a coach who helps people use writing to heal from grief. And she
Mm-hmm.
too had suffered the loss of her stillborn son.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, interesting. But writing is such a powerful tool for healing. That's phenomenal that just look what it birthed.
Yes.
Books.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, what's your advice to other writers out there who would like to either submit to a future Chicken Soup for the Soul book or write a novel or live the writer's life?
Well, I guess the simple advice that I would give is the Nike advice. You know, they took that, they shouldn't have been allowed to patent that, but just do it is really, that's what I always tell people. They'll say,
Okay.
well, Breena, how can I just do it? You just have to sit down and do it. Now, will you do it extremely well at first? No. Will you need feedback from others? Do you have to? Yeah, all of that is true, but you still have to start doing it. And I've known people who have talked about projects for, eons, and they never actually got to do it. So I think the best thing to do is to get started. Just start at some point. That's generally what I say.
Excellent, excellent. Now, do you work solo? Do you have a coach? Are you in a
No,
group?
well, I work by myself. I'm pretty much I work by myself. I really do.
And what's the most difficult thing about writing for you?
I suppose the most difficult thing is keeping to the regular schedule for me. At first, when I first got started, I thought, because the stereotype of the writer is the person who just sweating bullets and stays locked up in their house for like a year and just does nothing but write. And so I always fell short of that, of course. And I thought, oh boy, wouldn't it be great if I could get to the point where I could do that 24/7? Well, that doesn't happen. It's not practical. And it probably isn't even good for the writing. You know, you have to get out and see people. You have to be out in the world to even know how to describe people. So that didn't work. And I realized that trying to figure out what was my optimal time, and then just hitting that time and staying focused during that time period, however long or short it was. And so that's the biggest challenge, but it's also the most rewarding part, I think.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I love it. So now that you have the book coming out, the Chicken Soup for the Soul book coming out June 1st, are you going to be physically traveling for book signings? Will you have virtual events? And how can people know about them?
Well, I've got a lot of virtual events happening. I'm not sure how many in-person events we'll be able to schedule, but at this point, we have a lot of virtual events. Events like this, speaking with people, and radio events. So it's going to be kind of interesting. They can keep in touch with these events through Chicken Soup on Facebook, and also with me on Facebook. So you can find me. I'm Breena Clarke. And I'm Breena_Clarke on Twitter. And I'll be posting what's upcoming on Twitter and Facebook. And you can keep in touch through the Chicken Soup website. And, go on to the Chicken Soup for the Soul website if you're out there. Find out more about this book, I'm speaking now, but also find out about other projects that the Chicken Soup series is having, because there may be something that you would like to submit to, that someone out there would like to submit. So all of the information is on the website.
Oh,
the information about this specific book and about others. You'll find
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what do you hope that people take away from the book when they read it?
I hope that they take a deeper understanding of the complexities and the variety of Black women's voices, that we're not monolithic. We live all over the country. We live everywhere. This book also includes voices from Canada as well as the Caribbean. We decided to include those voices as well because we got submissions. So I think that this book has a lot of depth to it. And I hope that people will appreciate that depth and complexity. I hope that they find something that speaks to them specifically, and they'll find themselves there and be happy that they found that there's some other woman, there's one other sister who really feels the same way as you do and has had similar experiences. And the other part, that you'll find someone who will tell you something you had never dreamed was the case or never dreamed was possible, or that someone had experienced. So that's what I hope. I hope that a wide range of readers will come to appreciate these stories.
Oh my gosh. So the power of seeing yourself reflected back from the pages of a book is just profound. It brings tears to my eyes. When I remember being little and growing up, and there were no books that reflected exactly who I am with my family's unique story. That's why my sister Catherine and I wrote our own books and told our own story and created a company for it. So I commend you. I celebrate you. I honor you. I admire you. This is such a wonderful endeavor that you are bringing to the world. I hope that you can celebrate it. I hope that it's beautifully received. I'm going to get my copy and give copies as gifts. I just think it's wonderful. Do you have one more? And I love your background with all your books there.
Thank you.
And have your groans. It's so funny. But I think she would approve because it's very scholarly as you are, and it's just beautiful. So.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know, one of the things I really like about our trailer is that it shows, yes, we have a really lovely trailer.
Where is
it? And it features, it's on the Chicken Soup website. So Chicken Soup for the Soul, you can go there and see the trailer. And I've also, it's been posted on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So they will be available there. But one of the nicest parts about it is that it shows some of the faces behind the stories. And so for me, that was delightful because I'd read the stories and seen the names, but I didn't see all of the faces. And it was nice. Not all of our contributors are in the trailer. Some of them are going to be in subsequent trailers and when we post. So you'll be able to see, and each of them is saying, I'm speaking now. My name is Breena Clarke and I'm speaking now. And it's so lovely to see the complexity of their faces, to see the range of them, and just to see Black women's faces, because sometimes you can put on the television, not so much now. It used to be, you wouldn't see faces. You wouldn't see all of the wide range of appearances. And that's one of the loveliest things about the trailer. Is that you do see these faces.
Oh, that's wonderful. I can't wait to watch that. That's amazing. I'm speaking now. That's beautiful.
Yes, I'm speaking now. Well, because the time is now. Now's the time to speak.
Yes. So all of you watching, please go to the link I'm going to put in the description box so you can order your copy of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book. I'm Speaking Now. It's 101 stories by Black women, edited by Breena Clarke, and you have a co-editor, correct?
Amy Newmark, yes.
Amy Newmark, yes. They just somehow culled down thousands of submissions to 101. I just, that's just
And even
Whoa.
101 is a big number. So it's
Right.
really a value added book.
That is remarkable. Well, thank you for
Mhm.
making this beautiful contribution to the world.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome. Thank you
Nice.
for joining me here. And thank you. I wish you the absolute best success with this and all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
It's been a
And
pleasure.
oh, I agree. Thank you. I'm honored to showcase women like you who are doing amazing things that inspire everybody everywhere because the book is available globally, and there's such interest in what's happening in our country. And so these voices are powerful voices for change,
Mhm.
inspiration, education, and all of the above. So thank you again. And thank you, all of you, for joining me here on the Goddess Power Show. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I just interviewed Breena Clarke. Please go to the link and order her book. It sounds phenomenal. You will be entertained, you will be inspired, you'll be educated, and it sounds like a gift to the world. So, very honored for this interview. Please do subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up to the video, and also follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth Atkins. Remember, boss up, goddess. You have the power